There are so many myths about how we can get this uterus to contract. Today, I'm going to show you some of the top myths and what studies actually show if they put you into labor or not. And I'm here to tell you there are so many videos showing you how to go into labor. And I'm really glad to be here with my scientific evidence to show you if they work or they do not work. Thanks for being here.
Attention, attention. Paging the pregnancy nurse. She is a nurse, but not your nurse. Thank you.
And I got to tell you, I saw so many of these go into labor methods go wrong in my 20 years in labor and delivery. In case we haven't met yet, hello, I'm Hilary. I'm the pregnancy nurse. I've been a nurse since 1997, and I have 20 years of labor and delivery experience being at the bedside, watching these people in pain from... That's right, we're going to discuss the first myth right now, and it is spicy food. And this is the one where I tell you a real truth, okay? Are you ready? Zoom in here. There's a real difference between pain and labor. And somehow we sometimes get those confused. In fact, I have a whole video here on if jumping jacks will put you into labor. And I'm here to tell you that jumping jacks will give you a lot of pain, but they are not going to put you into labor. And they are two very different things. But somehow the world thinks, you know, if I have so much heartburn, I think my esophagus is going to explode. Somehow that's going to put you into labor. And that it just isn't true. The studies do not prove that spicy food is going to put you into labor, unfortunately, because who doesn't love a great enchilada? In fact, I did a whole post on my website if eggplant parm would put you into labor. And I found that the restaurant who did it just gave eggplant parm to, 10 couples who were due. They were like 40 weeks of pregnancy. And what a shock within the week. So many of them had babies. And I'm like, well, of course they did, because they're 40 weeks pregnant. Most of them are going to have their baby around that time. And so this is how a lot of these studies are doing. If you're going to look at a study like this, you got to compare, you got to give eggplant parm to 5 of those couples, and you got to watch 5 of those couples and then see, hopefully it's a bigger sample size than 10 people, but you got to see, if more people went into labor with the eggplant parm than didn't. Either way, you know what the study did show? They sold a lot of eggplant parmesan, so win for them. And if you're here wanting to know about how to go into labor, you're likely in your 3rd trimester. I actually have a whole 3rd trimester prep pack that I want to send you guys. I'm going to put the link on how to grab that down below. The next one is physical activity, like I was talking about with jumping jacks, but you'll also see this about the mile circuit. You'll see it about curb walking. You'll see all these crazy activities that you can do to help put you into labor. Now, I have reviewed all of these things. I have looked for like crazy for information on the mile circuit because everyone loves it. Now, I do think that there are a lot of benefits to the mile circuit. You can just look up videos on here. I don't personally have one, but it's all these different movements that you can do to see if you can put yourself into labor. And I do think that they can be helpful to like stretch out those ligaments, because as you're standing or sitting, there are a lot of ligaments that just get really tired in your pelvis. And when you stretch those out, it can both feel good for yourself, feel good long term, but is it going to put you into labor? It's hard to tell. But especially with something like the mile circuit, remember there's a bowl in here that's your pelvic floor. We're helping to stretch out all of those muscles, and it could do something to help that baby drop on into that birth canal. And I did just do a video where I was talking about before you're really in labor, you're just trying to get that baby to find their best place. A gal I saw on the internet compared it to wiggling a cork to get it into a bottle. And then when you're in actual labor, like when you would push your thumb on the cork to get it into the bottle, that's when we're working to really do bigger movement to open up the pelvis. But before then, you're doing those small movements, which can be like the mile circuit. However, there isn't any movement that has been shown to put people into labor. There is no way to sleep that has been shown to put people into labor. So things to think about. Now, if you are enjoying the movement, like I loved sexy hip circles on the yoga ball, because again, I think it helped stretch out those ligaments around my pelvis, because my pelvis was very angry. Tell me in the comments if your pelvis is also very angry, because I think that's something that a lot of you probably have in common right now. So if you're doing movements that you really enjoy, stretching things out, yoga, those are great things. But if you're doing it and you're absolutely hating it, yes, I'm looking at you, jumping jacks. This isn't going to help anything. And in fact, it could hurt something. You could pull something and then be really miserable. I'm also looking at the people who jump on their trampoline. Every time I see that on social media, I think, My ligaments are so angry just watching that. It's miserable. Now, here is the final myth that I'm going to bust, and you guys are absolutely going to hate this, and it is that sex does not always work to put you into labor. In fact, there are a ton of studies actually done on that, because we got to think that people in countries that don't have hospitals that can give them an induction right away, that is a method that a lot of families can use if they're at a point where baby really needs to come out. You know, they're overdue and they need the baby to come out. It's something that people can do at home. So they have studied that, but ultimately in the studies, it didn't really show that it would put you into labor. And those kind of studies can be difficult because you can't really put people into those two different groups, right? It's hard to say you are a group who is going to do that and you are a group who is not going to do that. That's maybe not super ethical, but what they have studied hasn't really proved out that it does put you into labor, unfortunately. I mean, it does make sense, like in your mind, that if they made a deposit in that area, that does have hormones in it, but the studies ultimately don't show that it really does put you into labor. However, when you do it frequently in that last month of pregnancy, it has been shown to soften your cervix. And I actually have a whole video on things that you can do to soften your cervix, which can be things like that. Now, softening your cervix is very different than putting you into labor. So I want you guys to understand the difference between those things as well. However, a soft cervix might mean for an easier labor, an easier induction, all those kinds of things. The thing is, there's just so many myths based off of one person's experience. So you really got to learn from an expert. This is why I recommend a birth class with a labor and delivery RN. I have a class that I recommend. I'm going to link it down below because it's really going to help prepare you. And you're thinking, Hilary, I am so close to having my baby. I do not have time for that. That class actually only takes 3 hours. It really is doable in just a few days. You can get it done. Now, I want you guys to know that there are 3 agreements that your body needs to make in order to be able to go into labor. I actually have a whole video on the 3 agreements. I'm going to link it up above and down below. Thanks so much for being here at the Pregnancy Nurse, where we get you prepared, not scared, for your upcoming hospital birth.